It was game, set and match. Medvedev, he defeats Denis Shapovalov in 3 sets, coming back from a set down. It was an incredible match. Both played very, very well, but both didn't play at their best, but Medvedev did find a way to win. So let's go over and break down the reasons which led Medvedev to the victory. My name is Henry Choi, welcome to Post-Match Breakdowns, and subscribe if you love tennis. I'm working really, really hard to keep producing the best tennis content I can, so subscribing would mean the world. But let's get into it and start off with Shapovalov's tactics for the opening portions of the match. So within the first 7 points of the match, Shapovalov went for 4 drop shots, which is loads, and he was clearly trying to disrupt Medvedev's rhythm and kind of abuse his deep court position well behind the baseline. But the problem was that though he found some mixed success with it, doing it so much, the more he went for it, Medvedev really got his eye in with it, and using his world-class movement, he tracked them down excellently. He just anticipated them so well, especially as Shapovalov just kept going for them. And by 1-1, Shapovalov had won just 2 points from 7, which is a ridiculous amount, and he was not finding much success with it. But he was bringing him to the net, but he just wasn't being able to convert from that position. He kind of stopped going for that as the match progressed, because Medvedev was just on them like a flash, and he realised that it just was not an effective pattern of play for him anymore. But what he did start to incorporate in the early portions and throughout the whole match was serve and volley. He stopped doing it towards the second and third set, which probably contributed to the way those sets went, because it was really effective in the first set, but he just wasn't too keen and he stopped doing them as much. But he tried to keep the point short, and he did, and he was very, very effective at net in this match. And in the first set, it was Shapovalov's turn to break first. He broke for a 2-1 lead, a very, very early break in the match. And kind of throughout the match, well, for the first 2 sets really, there were some real uncharacteristic errors from Medvedev, and that gave Shapovalov 2 breakpoint chances, and he took the first one he got and broke. Before this match, Medvedev hadn't been broken, and he'd only faced 1 breakpoint the entire tournament, and these errors were quite bad for Medvedev, but also his service numbers were poor generally. He wasn't making enough first serves, and Shapovalov was looking very sharp, and he consolidated his break for 3-1. So it's quite crazy, because Medvedev had just been untouchable on serve throughout the whole week, and Shapovalov really isn't known for his returning, but he did return exceptionally well in this match. And there was more trouble for Medvedev in this first set, because he still continued to not serve particularly well, and far more errors gave Shapovalov the double break. Medvedev's playstyle revolves around consistency, and he just wasn't being consistent enough. Over the whole match, Shapovalov was actually leading the 9+ shot rally numbers, which rarely, if ever, happens to Medvedev. But Shapovalov was just playing with so much margin, but so much depth, and really using the angles so well, that he was forcing the errors from Medvedev, and not really the other way around, which is very, very impressive from Shapovalov. And it was 4-1 Shapovalov in the first set, but this time he did not consolidate this break. He actually double faulted twice in the game, and he eventually gave away the break with an error. So apart from those mistakes from Shapovalov, Medvedev did make some key adjustments. He stepped nearer to the baseline to take the ball early and more aggressively, which also kind of cut off the opportunity for Shapovalov to do the drop shot. So he was just allowed to stay on the baseline and defend from there. And he also started to find his first serve much more, so he actually consolidated his break back. And he started to find some much needed free points, but generally in the match, his serve just was not up to scratch. He wasn't doing the damage he usually does with his serve. And with a few holds later, Shapovalov had the chance to serve out the first set at 5-4, and it wasn't straightforward. The whole match wasn't straightforward, but Shapovalov did find a way, as he held his nerve and he held serve. He took the first set 6-4, but Medvedev did look like a different player compared to when he was 4-1 down. He just found his serve a little bit more, he was timing his ground strokes better, and he just looked warmed up, ready for the final now, and he was playing much better. And that kind of carried on into the second set, because early pressure really built on Shapovalov. He just looked a little bit flat. Oh, sorry, I've lost my... Yeah, so he just looked a little bit flat. His first serve percentage started to drop, and just more errors creeped into his game. And once again, Shapovalov gave away his serve. He double faulted once and 3 poor errors, and that was the game. So Medvedev broke for 3-1 without really having to work for it. And it seemed that momentum was shifting away from Shapovalov, as he just looked a bit duller in this second set. But Shapovalov responded exceptionally well and made life extremely difficult for Medvedev heading into it. Go back to his returning. He returned so well and actually had 4 breakback points in this game. But Medvedev just managed to claw through them, finding consistency when he really needed it most. And it was really a huge moment in the match. It was by far the longest service game of the match, and I felt like it did have huge implications for the rest of the match. Medvedev did finally consolidate the break for 4-1, but Shapovalov really did settle himself really well, and he actually had a love hold in the next game. And the pressure was immediately back on Medvedev, and finally it did crack him. At the 6th time of asking, Shapovalov broke back and put the second set on serve at 3-4. Medvedev, though he was serving better, it wasn't good enough, and it wasn't really good enough the entire match. And also the errors were just coming thick and fast, which they never do from him. It was really uncharacteristic. But then out of nowhere, just you think, oh, Shapovalov's, he's broken back now, it's back on serve, you know, he could get this done in 2 straight sets, he's playing well, and Medvedev's had another little drop off. But out of nowhere, Medvedev broke Shapovalov to love. His movement, shot selection, and passing shots were just perfect, and Shapovalov basically did everything right. But Medvedev just played on a complete other level and served out the second set perfectly and got over the line 6-3. And heading into the final set, Medvedev finally found his game fully. The pressure and the momentum was fully flowing with Medvedev, and ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous, returning and defense within the rallies forced key errors from Shapovalov. Medvedev conjured up triple break point, and Shapovalov double faulted to give it away, and Medvedev broke for a 2-1 lead. And for the first time in the match, he was actually in front in the scoreboard. And Shapovalov was extremely frustrated with himself. He was hitting his racket on the floor and complaining to his box a lot. And Medvedev had finally got under his skin and had got some breathing room. He held for 3-1, and from that point on, it was just everything Medvedev touched turned to gold. 3 miraculous winners in Shapovalov's next service game gave Medvedev another 3 break points, and he did eventually break for a 4-1 lead. And he just found a complete other level to separate himself from Shapovalov. But Shapovalov still put up a great fight. He saved 2 championship points and asked the question of Medvedev, can he serve it out? And it was not easy at all. Nothing was straightforward in this match, as I said. But at the 7th time of asking, he took the championship 6-3 in the 3rd. So overall, this is his 2nd title of the year and 15th in his career. Shapovalov did play an excellent match. He asked so many questions of Medvedev and made it really difficult, but today Medvedev just had the answers. Medvedev now leads the head-to-head 4-2 and has actually won their last 4 meetings, so it seems he has figured some things out how to play against Shapovalov. Today wasn't easy, but he did do what the best players do. He found a way to win even when not at his best. So congratulations to Shapovalov for an excellent week, but especially to Medvedev, who looks back on track this season, because it's not been a fantastic season from him, but he just had his first daughter, which is a very special moment for him, so I think he's feeling really good, and he's playing very well. So that wraps up my analysis. A lot of work goes into these videos, so subscribing would mean the world. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great one.